Hi everybody, my name is Jan Dufour and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today I'm going to demonstrate something that's in our annual catalog. The stamp set is new and it will be available May 3rd, but the majority of the time is going to be spent on an item that is in our old catalog as well as our new catalog. It doesn't come with a stamp set. Let me put this aside. It is called Give It a Whirl, and it's an interactive set. There's no stamp set that goes with it. You use it with other stamp sets. It's easy not to be found because it's in the back, and then it is sitting up on a couple of pages pointing to it, but it's mostly to describe the card. So you may have missed it, and it's a really fun set. I've made probably 5 or 6 different cards with it, and I'm going to show you some tips and tricks on how to put the assembly together. Now again, this is called Give It a Whirl. I'm going to put this aside now. The stamp set I'm going to use doesn't become available until May 3rd. It's called Sweet Songbirds. I'm making a baby card for a shower that I'm going to, but you can do this, of course, with any set. There's just a few things you have to look to. I will assemble the card. I do have the pieces, parts, if you will, but really I'm going to spend the most time on the Give It a Whirl things so that you understand how to put it together easily, because it doesn't come with instructions. So, and of course there's lots of stuff on YouTube, but I actually never found one of the tips I am going to offer anywhere, so you want to stay tuned for that. I'm going to put that aside. This is the card that I made, and as you can see, the little birdie is tweeting, and then this is what the interactive card does. There's a little arrow telling you to swirl it, and now it says a little bird told me, and you've got something to celebrate. And then it goes back. So there's 3 things that can fit in there. And then I just put congratulations on the inside and a place for it to write. There's a little bit of elevation here with dimensionals, and I will explain that as well. But let's get started. The main pieces, and I made a 5x7 card. This fits on a regular A2 card, so you can do that. But I like the look of being able to decorate more, because of course on a regular A2 card, which I can grab real quick, although of course this is white on white and you wouldn't do that probably, but it does fit. It just reduces the amount of space that you can decorate. So we'll just put that aside. So I chose a 5x7 card, which along the 11-inch side, you would cut it at 10, score it at 5, and you would cut it at 7. So you have 1.5 inches left on the bottom, and that becomes your 5x7 card. So let's look at the parts that you need. And the first time you ever make this, you're going to make a few templates. So I would recommend cutting this out 5 or 6 times. It doesn't take long to do it once you already have it there. If you score a piece of cardstock at 4 1/4 down the whole length of the 11 inches, you can get 4 of these in one. Now, I would recommend that you use the thick cardstock, because I still glued 2 thick ones together. If you do it with regular cardstock, you can try it with 2. You may decide that you want it to be 3. So there's this, which this I'm keeping to show you one of the problems that some people are having that I've cured or fixed. This is actually my demo piece, because it is 2 pieces of thick cardstock glued together. This is also my actual wheel. Again, this is the wheel, and here are the parts. So this is this part here. And then you need the wheel, and that's always, regardless of whatever you're making. And then you need one of the openings. There's 4. There's this one for longer openings, the round one, the heart one, and then this, of course, gives the widest area for the biggest amount of sayings that you want to do. Now, I've used this one in this particular card, so I'll take that out and show you how that worked. When you first start, you can use inexpensive cardstock to make your templates. I'm going to put this aside because I don't need it. I do want to show this to you, and this is my actual work. You also, this is the inside of the opening, and this is pretty because it's an actual circle and it's double thickness. You could just tear a piece of paper. It doesn't matter. It's being hidden. It's just being used for the depth of it to give it freedom of movement. So here's the template for the actual card, oops, the actual card that I'm making. So I wanted the opening here, and I wanted it round. And so you use this with the circle because that's where you pin it. And then you decide where on the card you want it. You can put it anywhere. It doesn't matter. There are some tips and tricks to it that when you're deciding some of the things you have to look for. So this is thin piece of paper, nothing fancy. And I cut that out as a template. I have previously made this one as a template. That's the widest opening. I also made one with this. This was a mistake, so that's okay. It's a double thickness, but it's got that opening too if I wanted to. So as you can see, make 3 or 4 extra single layers and then cut your actual one that you're going to use. I'll set these aside for a moment. Then the next thing you're going to do is cut out the wheel. I have several here. These are practice wheels. So again, these are single layer. You want to cut out, I don't know, 5 or 6 of them to be on the safe side, because you're going to glue 2 or 3 of them together depending on the thickness of your cardstock. And then you want a couple for practicing. Now, one of the ones I did, and these stay in I have an envelope called, I put Give It A Whirl templates. So I'm saving this stuff so that I don't have to do it over and over again. It probably would take you 10 minutes to cut out all your templates, and then you're set for any one you ever want to make. And then making these is actually quite quick. So here's the wheel, and because I wanted to use this particular die cut this time, I went ahead, I wrote out these things. Just lay it down, trace it, so that you know what your openings are. And then, so here's what I did here with the red. And then lay whatever cutout template you want, center it, because it has to be, in the middle of those two, and then draw your circle. And do that all the way around. Now I have a template. I know exactly where these fit. So I'll lay that aside. This one, I doubled up on it. I had the actual larger one, and then I decided to do the same one in a different color. Again, it's all about where do I place my words or my flowers or whatever you're going to be putting in this round thing. It shows you exactly where to put them and how they fit in there. So I'm going to set those aside because I don't need them today. I'm going to keep this. If you look closely, while it was in the template, I put 2 little marks at each one of these divides. So when I put this in here, this is where the divide is, that's where the divide is, and that's where the divide is. And that will help you later. So just keep this. I know it's a done piece of paper, but I use it. And then, like I said, I have several of these that I can glue together. But the thing I wanted to show you about this, everybody complains about it. And their solution was to hide it, which is an option. But I didn't want to hide it. On my card, the way I decorated it, I did not want a line through here. So let me show you what it does when you put it through our Stamparatus or any other cutting machine. It leaves an indentation where that center Let me pull it off again to show you. Oops. It leaves this mark as an indentation as it cuts out the center. And I didn't want that. So I started playing around with it. I need this. And I ended up working out a way where, as you can see, there's no line on this one. Now, I will tell you, this is not a recommended procedure according to Stampin' Up, or probably any machine that comes this way, because it's the way I did it is not the written way, if you will. So on our Stampin' Up, it'll tell you if you're cutting, you know, use this sandwich. If you're embossing, use this sandwich. And if you're using 3D embossing, use this sandwich. So I thought, what happens if I take out plate number 2 and I substitute plate number 4, which is for embossing, and only use one plate? Now, it clearly says down here, this is not a cutting surface. So what you will have to do is lay your paper down. I'll just grab a piece. Actually, what I do is this. I tape it and then flip it. Put this on here. So I'm doing 1 for the upside down die with paper, and then 3. And when I run this through, it's perfect. There's no indentation. Now, I will tell you, as I often do, I goofed, and I put it die side down, cutting side down. And so I have marks on here. I'm okay with that. I don't know that it'll show up, but here's the thing, choose a side and stick to it. This side is perfect, and there's no reason why I can't use it in this position if, for some reason, this shows up when I emboss. I haven't tried it yet. I will, but like I said, it doesn't really matter because I got a pretty side on the other side. So anyway, that's how I send it through. Again, it's platform 1, plate 2, your die cutting side up with the paper, and then 1 of the 3. When you roll that through, you will get it without, without making any marks at all. So that's awesome. There's a tip. All right. Now, once you've cut out your circle and marked this, we're set to begin. I'm going to get rid of all my extras so I don't confuse myself. I've shown you that. So these are my actual pieces, the double thickness. And to be honest, I glue them together right away at the beginning, and then I stick something heavy on them to keep them flat. I have 2 of these. I never use these for stamping because if there's something this big, I use my Stamparatus. But it's an excellent paperweight, so keep that in mind. Just having something heavy on it. So I need these 3 things that are in here to show up on my circle. There's a couple of tricks with that. Take out my Stamparatus. I highly recommend that you have some type of stamp positioner. I have left these on there, but I'm going to take them off so you can see. I actually have more than one. I actually have more than one of these templates. Doesn't matter which one you want to use. Since I've already used this one and they're in place, I'll use that. Here's where your extra pieces come in. Now, I don't know if you can see that, but there is an indentation on there. Or you can mark them because this is just my practice piece. So what I want to do is put one of these in the position where I have it marked. And then I kind of want to settle it, like get it back in where it belongs. And that's perfect. And then I'm going to make that stay. You really can't, well, you can actually. I have these little tiny magnets. If you have one of those, you can put it in the center and it does help hold it. It's not necessary. The only thing that'll happen is the paper will come up and you have to peel it off and replace it, but this will stop you from doing it. So how do I place these? Well, I know that I want this Where's my template? Oops. Let me do this first. Let's find the proper placement before I practice. So it's the same idea. I put this down to match, fit it in the groove. Okay, so this is the part I want to cut out. So this is where the sayings have to be. Now, you also have to keep in mind where on your card you're putting the hole. So if you're putting the hole up here, you know that when you're looking at this, it's got to be readable. So here, for example, you would want it in this position. But this one, you don't want it in this position. You know it's going to be rotating up, so I want it this way. Same thing for this one. You don't want it going this way like you read, because it's going to rotate up and it would be upside down. Now, the thing I learned was I changed my plan, not this card, but another one, decided to put it down, and I forgot to change these. It makes a difference where on the card it is. So, keeping that in mind, I've already placed 2 of them. I didn't want to spend a lot of time. As you can see, they fit in the circles. So I have to place this one. I have to remember it's rotating up. So you want to do this so that you can read it, but when it rotates up, it's going to be upside down. So we don't want it that way. We actually want it upside down as we look at it here. And then we want to close it. And then we have all 3 of them on there. As you can see, this kept it from flipping up. All right. Now, I don't want to mark this with any writing. So now I want to see, did I really get it where I want it? So I'm going to put one of my practice ones in here, and that's why you do a few. Then I am going to ink it. We're using Sweet Sorbet, which is one of the new in colors you will get to see as of May 3rd. I'm going to press it down. They look lovely, but the trick is, all right, they look lovely stamp-wise, but if this is at the top, a little bird told me, you've got something to celebrate, and this is what I show at the beginning. I also added some flowers singly afterwards. So it worked. Don't throw it away. You got another side. So this is just practice. So I like where that is. So I'm going to keep that. So while I have this in place, I'm going to go ahead. This is my double layer of thick. I can see this as if you want to, but if you feel like you can't see it, you can always mark. It's the width of one scallop. So I am going to place that scallop where it belongs. I'm going to kind of press it in. It is double, so it's kind of sticking out, but that's okay because they match up. I'm going to ink it again. And stamp it. I'll lift it, and it looks beautiful. So I'm going to pull this off, and I'm going to set it aside and let it dry. And we're going to get, where's my paper? I like to take the template out because I'm going to save it. And I don't have to clean my stamps right away because I have a scrap piece of paper. So I can put that aside. All right. Now, I am doing the opposite card, if you will. You should always make 2 at a time. I was playing around with trying to figure out how I wanted my bird colored, and because I wanted to use the in colors, it kind of limited me, if you will, on what exactly I was going to stamp. So keeping that in mind, this is the blue version. I'm going to make a red version, and the bird is, let me put this away because that's dangerous. Again, this is not so much about making them as it is completing them. So here's my little blue bird. And the stamp set comes with a punch, which they call the builder punch because it's got different pieces. Now, I thought, well, what would happen if I just made just the punch without using any stamps? And I can show you what that makes. They're cute. I just happen to like the stamp version better. But as you can see, they have the bottom or his breast And then you've got the little wing. You can make 2 wings and stick one out the other way and make it look like he's flying. It's got little eye versions. There's an open eye version and a closed eye version. And then this is a punch. So this is all punched out. And then I did stamp the eyes. And again, I tried the 2 different ones. Now the stamp set comes with tree branch and leaves. This is wood, so you can use it to set. A lot of people are using this as a welcome sign. They stamp welcome in here. Use the 2 eyes to make it look like nail heads. This line can be used so it swings from the tree. There's 2 sets of feet. The punch is for the big bird, but you can punch, or you can stamp. A little bird goes in the other direction. They each have their own set of feet. There's 2 eyes. The open version, this, people are calling this the singing version because his eyes are closed, and then of course the notes. And it says, welcome, congratulations, you've got something to celebrate. So happy you're here. It's your special day. A little note of thanks. And a little bird told me. It also comes with a nest, which I chose to use. So there is no punch for this nest, but seriously, I don't like to fussy cut. And this is a once around and you're done. So it's not a big deal. I used, and I will have the directions and colors below my blog post when I do post it. But I used crumb cake and then Sahara, no, I lied, not Sahara. I used, what did I use? Oh, here it is. Soft suede, crashed. Soft suede for the darker color. This is the Sahara Sam. This is soft succulent. Again, this is not about making the card per se. I just wanted to explain how the Give It a Whirl card works because you can do so many things with it. Now, the other thing you need to do is to cut out the area that you wanted to have show up. Now, again, there's 4 or 5 different ones, and for the sayings that I wanted to say, you can audition them. Be careful, this one is 100%, but some of them will say down here it's not. So you might have to open it up and actually see the words. But I could clearly see a little bird told me. I could put a little note of thanks, which I did not. You've got something to celebrate, and of course the notes go in. I added little red flowers in this particular one. I'll go back and show you. Dum, da, dum. There we go. I just added a little bit, and I leave it there as I give it to them. Makes it look like it's singing. There is a die cut that has actually 2 arrows, a long one and a short one, to put there so people know that they need to turn the wheel. All right, so once I know what I want, and I thought I had prepared one of these ahead of time, but apparently I did not. So let me step away. I'll die cut this and I'll be right back. And it's magic, and I'm back. Here's the die cut. Before you take it off, turn it around. Make sure that you can see the cut all the way around. This one actually is a little bit, not quite cut, but it's cut enough. You can always run it through. If you go 3 or 4 times, it will definitely come off. So, and I mean 3 or 4 times, like once it's right there, just go back and forth to rock it. Now you get, let me pull this off. Oops. You get a circle with this. Remember, I told you don't throw them away because we're going to use the circle as well. And again, it doesn't matter what shape it is. So no matter what shape you cut out, you can actually use that piece, or like I said, just cut an 1.5 inches or so cardstock, glue them together, and that will work just as well. So I'll put that aside and clean it up later. All right, so now we have the front, and you need a brad. I knew I was going to end up losing that brad. It didn't fall out, so let me get another one. Stampin' Up does sell some black and white square and circle brads, but you can use any brad that you have. And, you know, if it was white, it would match and you could leave it there, but I don't particularly want that to show. There's my wheel. But this is how you assemble it. You put the brad in here. Oops. Well, first you have to do it. Brad. Then you put the wheel. And then you put, oops, the little circle of which you've punched a hole in. It doesn't matter if it's dead center because, again, it doesn't show. It's there for thickness, and that's it. I have also just used this and stuck it in there and drilled the hole in, and that works just as well. Because all you're doing is making a spacer in the back. It won't show, and nobody cares. Make sure it's still wheeling. Then when you open the brad, you know, when we usually use brads, we try to make them really, really flat. Don't do that. You don't want it to be tight. So check it, make sure it goes around freely, which it does. Then you're going to want to go ahead and do any stamping that you want to stamp. Now, I am not going to go through that because, like I said, it's not about so much stamping. Well, I've got them all right here, but let me take these apart. But I will show you a couple of things on the Stamparatus. Now, Stamparatus comes with 2 of these, so I can take these off. You can use 2 sides. I've got multiple things on here. When you're doing the branch, the way I did it was I try not to get anything up close to the corners. It just makes it a little bit harder to stamp. I have a video on how to make yourself some spacers out of cardstock. But basically, I don't remember where I did that. Oops, on the wrong side. This side. I think I did it this way. So yeah, so you put your branch wherever you want. Now there's a slight curve to it. You could actually make it straighter because it's the photopolymer. So you could just pull it and make it straight if you wanted. So that makes it nice. But of course I wanted the natural blank, and then I turned it around and I positioned the leaves where I wanted them, and then I stamped them, and that way there's a good stamp and you get your little leaves and your branch on the bottom. That's that. So we'll pretend this is decorated. I know it's not quite as fun, but I thought it was really important because there were no instructions on how to use Give It a Whirl, that I should at least show you how this can be done. Now, you can actually just use you have to use some kind of dimensional. So you can use our Stampin Dimensionals that come on a sheet like this and pop them up, and it's this thickness. Some people double them up, so you would put one down, make sure you don't mess with the wheel. You have to stay around them. Take off the top and put another one on top of it. And you can do that, that works. But I found that using our strips, which I'm not being able to, oh, here they are, to locate. This works wonderfully. We'll pull one off, and it's higher than a regular stamp. I'm sorry, Stampin Dimensionals is what I was going to say. I'm going to take my scissors and cut those instead of pull them off, because again, I don't want them to interfere with the wheel. So all I'm doing is laying these down. And then I'm putting another support here. It takes about 2 of these. And they come in a package with, there are 40 of these things. So you use 2 of them on there. And it saves you on using multiple dimensionals, which is what would happen, because you'd have to put them all over the place. which works. I did that way first. Like I said, I've made 3 or 4 of these cards. I've already given 2 of them away, but I will put one along here. As long as you're not touching the wheel, it's all good. And then cut that. And then I'll just put the last one. Actually, these bend as well. So I'm gonna do this. A little smile. And then when you lay it down, it's much easier to spin because there's not anything in the way. And then I decided, again, this is an opposite card, so I just put him here. I had already stamped the branch. And, you know, because I've done this to demonstrate to make this not 100 miles long, I probably won't I'll just probably stick him a little bit in there. And then I will put some clouds. And because it's white on white, I used a blending brush, in case you've never seen that. You can use any kind of, you know, our finger daubers or whatever they call them. I don't tend to use those anymore now that I have this, but you don't want to, you know, basically I'm putting it on here and you don't want to like splat it on because it will leave a mark. So you kind of do this and then just bring it in. And it's really quick. And usually you can always bring it in as much as you want, make it as blue as you want. You can use blue cardstock. I just wanted to use the white, and as you can see, that makes it stand out quite nicely. This one, first on the paper, then around. That makes that one. No, actually, this one goes here. I wanted him to be way up in the clouds. See, as you can see, it made it really a strong color there. So you should always start off the paper. Even if you wanted it really dark, you should always start lighter and work towards dark. And as you can see, this doesn't take any time at all. Put that away, close this up. And then I just added some of the things that were already on there. Some stars. And then I should have, yep, there it is. Now, if I were going to do this anymore, I would probably use one of our adhesive sheet backings before I cut this out. You can just cut off a little piece and put it on wherever you are, and then cut these out, and then there would be adhesive on the back of it. But it's easy enough. I just held it in the middle, put a daub of glue here and a little bit here, and that was obviously more than enough to do it. And you want to tell them which direction to put it in or to turn the wheel. And so far I've given 2 away. One of them knew what to do right away, and the other one had no clue that there was even a wheel there to turn. So you may have to coach them a little bit. When I did punch out the bird, I used a Stamparatus because I ended up doing it twice. I wanted him nice and fully dark. Same thing with the little wing. These are photopolymers, so you can see through them. So when I did the yellow, I was able to like put it right over the bird's beak. So that was easy. And then these were the flowers and the congratulations that I put on the inside, which I put another piece of white here. And then these are the 2 little eyes. And like I said, you can make eyes open or eyes closed because he's singing. So I will post the finished cards on my post. But I didn't want to make the video any longer than it needed to in case people were familiar. The last thing I would say is if you really don't like the brad or the color of your brad, on mine, I just covered it up with a glue dot and put the star over it. And this is what the finished card looks like. As he sings to me, a little birdie told me, you've got something to celebrate. And it's real cute. People really appreciate an interactive card even more than a regular handmade card. So I hope you have all the questions answered that you need. If not, if you're looking at this on YouTube, you can go to my blog at stampmesilly.com. You can email me at jandufor@yahoo.com. If you want a catalog, just email me with your address, and I'd be more than happy to mail one out to you if you don't already have a demonstrator. And if you wanted to order online, this set is not, the Give It A Whirl set is available now. The Sweet Songbird is not until May 3rd. But you can go directly to my store at jandufour.stampinup.net. I really appreciate you being here. If you have any questions, please ask me. If you do, please leave a comment and let me know if this is something that you enjoyed. If you're annoyed that I didn't put the whole thing together, let me know that. It helps with what I do next. And again, I like to try to make these as short as possible, and the construction was a little bit long. But anyway, thanks very much for stopping by. Have a good day. Bye.